All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome back to another explainer. We're taking some truly fascinating source material today and breaking it down so we can really get a grip on its core concepts. Today, we are unpacking a text that tackles a massive, mind-bending topic. Where does the incredible, complex order of nature actually come from? The source we're looking at steps right into the ring of a huge debate: random chance versus intelligent design. And it does this by asking us to just look around, to really observe the natural world. It wants us to completely rethink how we view our environment, from the tiniest little plant to the absolute vastness of the ocean. So let's explore exactly how this author builds their case.
Right out of the gate, the source hits us with a really deep philosophical question. It asks, what kind of faith is actually required to believe that all the perfectly orderly processes of nature were produced entirely by chance? It's a pretty provocative starting point, right? The author is basically suggesting that when you look at the miraculous adaptations in plants and animals, attributing all of that to mere accident requires a massive leap of faith in and of itself. They're challenging us to look at the highly complex functions of life and ask, is it really logically sound to believe all of this just arose without an intelligent creator steering the ship?
So, moving into our first main section, chance or intelligent design. We'll be examining the origins of nature's order.
The source sets up a really stark contrast between two opposing ideas here. On one side, we have random nature. According to the author, the laws of science actually dictate that undirected random nature tends toward deterioration. Basically, things naturally break down over time. They don't spontaneously organize themselves into higher states of order. But then, on the flip side, we have the source's view of intelligent design. They argue this is the literal, only logical explanation for the infinite precision, the order, and the perfect beauty we see functioning and reproducing all over the earth. The text is very firm on this. You simply cannot get the highly ordered results on the right using the undirected random methods on the left.
And the author's argument here operates on an absolutely massive scale. We are talking millions. The source points out that if there really is no intelligent creator, our reasoning powers should just be completely staggered by the sheer volume of exact coincidences required to produce perfectly functioning life. We aren't just talking about a couple of lucky accidents here. The text argues there are literal millions of precise biological and environmental coincidences operating seamlessly together right at this very moment. For the author, it's mathematically and logically impossible for millions of perfect alignments to be the product of pure blind chance.
Which brings us to Section 2, Nature's Perfect Balance, where the author zooms out to the cosmos.
From the microscopic to the immense, the author doesn't want us just focusing on, say, a single leaf or a bug. They are scaling this entire premise across the entirety of existence. They argue that whether you're looking into a microscope at tiny cellular functions or peering through a telescope at massive planetary orbits, you're going to find the exact same evidence of a mighty creator who brought it all into existence. The same rules of incredible order apply absolutely everywhere.
To back this up, the source offers three really key observations. First, the amazing fact that the entire universe exists in a state of perfect balance. Second, that life on this specific world has been perfectly adapted to the exact conditions we find right here, things like gravity, atmosphere, temperature. And third, the conclusion the author draws from all of this is that there's a throb and hum of life revealing the fingerprints of a creator in every single square inch of the earth. The text argues that this overarching, flawless accuracy is solid proof of a great, intelligent power operating behind the scenes.
Let's move on to Section 3, Witnesses of the Earth. The text is essentially calling nature to the witness stand. The author anchors this whole cosmic courtroom analogy on a very specific biblical passage. It's from Job, chapter 12, verses 7 through 9, and it goes like this. But ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this? The source uses this quote to establish that the Bible itself points to nature as the ultimate, most persuasive evidence in favor of creationism. Basically, if you want to know how God operated in creation, the text argues you literally just need to ask the natural world around you. And here is exactly how the text breaks down that witness list. Step 1, ask the beasts. Step 2, ask the fowls of the air. Step 3, ask the fishes of the sea.
By meticulously observing these specific life forms, the author believes the Earth will effectively explain to us how mightily these things were designed. Now, obviously, they aren't speaking with words, right? But the argument is that their very biology, their instincts, and their ecological roles serve as living testimony on the witness stand of true science.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 4, Mysteries of Land and Sea, looking at true science and the biblical account.
Here, the text makes a very bold, very definitive claim. It states clearly that the Genesis account of the Bible has been completely vindicated by all the findings of true science. So the author doesn't see science and the biblical creation story as being at odds with one another at all. Actually, quite the opposite. They argue that when you study the actual laws of nature and the precise adaptations of life, true scientific inquiry proves the biblical narrative to be completely accurate.
Drilling down just a bit further into that, the source specifically highlights the writings of Moses, which of course includes the book of Genesis. The author asserts that these ancient writings have been found to be both scientifically accurate and historically accurate. And as the source material transitions into its upcoming chapters, it promises to prove this by specifically studying the mysteries of the land and the sea. They fully intend to show exactly how wonderfully the water and the land support the biblical story of creation.
Which leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question based on the text. If every square inch of the earth truly holds a miracle of precise design, what will the deeper mysteries of the land and sea reveal when we look closer? The source is challenging us here. It wants us to stop viewing the natural world as just a random series of accidents and instead see it as a deliberate, perfectly balanced masterpiece just waiting to be understood. It's definitely a fascinating perspective on how faith, observation, and science intersect. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope it leaves you curious to keep exploring the amazing complexities of the world around you.